my final thoughts about Freud's The Future of an Illusion. If you've been, traveling with me all this time, thank you very much for your time. This is just sort of the overarching principles I wanted to discuss. So stay tuned. Hello, welcome to Chez Eric, where we talk about psychiatry and religion with a focus on how to apply it to your life. We're at the end. We finished 10 chapters. You should congratulate yourself, celebrate. Thank you very much for spending the time with me to listen to my thoughts about Freud's The Future of an Illusion and my commentary at the end as well. Thank you for your comments as well. It's really, really helpful, right? And I hope you got a lot out of it. It's the end of an era, right? I wanted to take some time and create this space to talk about the work as a whole, sort of big picture thing, right? Because I talked about the individual chapters and had individual issues here and there. But here I just want to talk a much bigger picture thing, because that's kind of what this channel is about. It's about religion and psychiatry, right? So Freud is the father of modern psychiatry. He created psychology, the concept of psychology, and people have basically spread out from his original work on psychology, right? And during his life, he created a book, right, on psychiatry and religion, and he called Religion an Illusion, okay, said it wasn't real, which then made a lot of, I imagine, religious people really, really angry and pissed off. And because of that, it kind of created this rift between psychiatry and religion. And it's not that people don't talk about both of them, not that they can't talk, it's not like there are gunfights and gang wars between them, right? It's more that if I were to bring religion into a psychiatric setting, it would be a little bit taboo, it would be a little bit inappropriate, right? And if a religious person would, recommend someone see a psychiatrist, that would be a little bit off, like shouldn't God solve all the problems, right? And so there is this little cold war between the two, a little bit of a rift between the two, and it's sad because I'm not sure if that really should be the case, right? And I am devoting this channel to try to understand why it's the case and maybe try to see some common ground in between. And as you can imagine, when Freud spends 10 chapters kind of ripping apart, religion and stuff like that and making people feel really bad about themselves, it's not going to go over well. I have a lot of work ahead of me, right? But before I get into that, why don't I just summarize one last time all the chapters. It'll be really quick, hopefully it'll be really quick, just so that we're all on the same page. And maybe there's some college students out there who wanted a little bit of a shortcut to this journey of a future of illusion, because you were assigned future of illusion. I hope that it really helped you a lot. And maybe at the end, I guess you can just watch this last one to get the skinny of everything. But I did write it down, right? Because it's a little bit complicated. So chapter 1 introduced this idea of that nature is dangerous, and when nature is dangerous, the culture, right, the people need to join a culture to join together and defend against nature. But by joining a culture, you have to kind of subscribe to their rules, and it creates a burden on you. And how could it be possible that a large group of people would be willing to follow these rules when they don't get the benefits of the culture in an equally distributed manner, right? Chapter 2 talked about this idea of ideals and artistic work that is like a jewel of culture, a creation of culture that helps perpetuate the culture. But he then foreshadows, but it's the religious idea that is the greatest the creation of culture that helps people stay in line, right? Chapter 3, Freud goes through the value of religious ideas and how it helps us to deal with our anxieties of nature, right? That nature could randomly kill us, and therefore having religion helps us deal with that anxiety. And then chapter 4 goes through some critiques that Freud could potentially run into. And he talks about a totem und taboo, a different work before, where he talks about how God is just it's really more of a relationship with your parents, not so much an actual entity. So he's kind of saying the relationship you have with God is very similar to the relationship you have with your parents, discussed in Totem und Taboo, not so much in this particular work, right? Chapter 5 talks about, how religious ideas are unique because they don't have very good evidence for them. So why do people believe them? Why are they so powerful, right? And then chapter 6 is the big chapter where he says religious ideas are powerful because they are illusions. There are things we are motivated to believe. There are things that we want to believe, and therefore we kind of create this illusion for ourselves to believe them to deal with our anxieties and our sort of wish-making desires and things like that. And that's kind of what he's talking about. And chapter 7 says that these religious ideas have helped societies develop the way it is, but eventually science is going to, do that for us. Science is going to teach us more things, and it's going to kind of take over. We won't really need religious ideas anymore. In chapter 8, he kind of talks about how we can transition from a religious-based thing to science, right, instead. And chapter 9 goes through some critiques of the work that he's written about so far. So it kind of goes over through those critiques. And finally, chapter 10, he admits that even my views could be, an illusion. However, the difference between science and religious ideas is that religious ideas claim to be eternal and forever, and they're dogmatic. Whereas science does not claim to be eternal and is willing to change based on changing experiences, right? And so that is chapters 1 through 10, and that's the summary, right? And so the big takeaway, the big picture I kind of want to express is that it really breaks my heart, right? When I see, a psychiatrist who is religious, right? Like me, for example, right? And we can't explore these religious ideas without running into a lot of controversy along the way. When we want to understand more about psychiatry and religion and more about faith, a discussion of faith rarely has a discussion about psychology. And unfortunately, it's so controversial that it's very challenging to make a career out of psychiatry and religion without incredibly risking your career, because it's very controversial. You can completely lose your job if you say something the wrong way or is misinterpreted the wrong way, right? It really breaks my heart that we can't have that discussion with people who are psychiatrists and religions, right? It also breaks my heart, when people are philosophically inclined, right, and theologically inclined, and they want to learn more, and they want to have answers, and they can't get those answers, right? And instead they're run into dogmatic thoughts and concepts, and they want the answers, and they're searching, but they just can't get the answers. It doesn't make any sense, and they're left, okay, I guess religion's kind of very silly. When in actuality, religion is far more robust than what we've given it credit for, all right? And that's kind of what it's about. So the thing is that, psychiatry and religion is a very complex topic, right? And it has so many facets to it, and there's so many aspects to it. There's a biological part, the psychological part, the emotional part, the existential part, the spiritual part, right? And that's what this channel is all about. This channel is about talking about all these things, creating that space where we can have an not so much intellectual discussion, but a meaningful discussion about psychiatry and religion without getting, trying to choke out the other person. And my hope, and I've alluded to this before, that, I'm a religious person and I am a psychiatrist, and the way I reconcile the two is that there is a belief system that doesn't have to be so dogmatic, that can rely on experience. And in relying on experience, that experience is fully understood, and that we accept and recognize that our interpretations can change. The principles don't have to change, right? But our interpretations of what those principles are can change. And that's kind of the big sort of, I would say, not criticism, but sort of takeaway I'm getting from Freud's The Future of an Illusion. That what he says is actually very true. I agree with him on a lot of things. I agree with him that, we do use God as an anxiety reducer. We do use God as a wish-making entity. We do use God as a way to keep people in line and keep people following the rules. However, does it have to be that way? Is there a version of religion, is there a version of God that is beyond the dogmatic? That we can incorporate, beautiful concepts in philosophy and science into our understanding of faith, right? Into our understanding of religion, into our understanding of the rituals that we do, so that we can better understand this entity if he does exist. And if he doesn't exist, then we can better understand the properties of what it is that we're believing in that helps society so much, right? That's kind of what I envision. And what can you do? How can you implement this? If you have watched my channel thus far and you are a big proponent of this vision that I have of a future of religion that uses and understands science and psychiatry, then like and subscribe, as you've done already, and share, right? Share this channel, share the belief, share the concept, provoke the ideas in your friends and your family, and share, and let this grow organically, spread the word, and I will continue making videos, I will continue making content for you, so you have more things to think about, right? And that's that, and if we have that, and if we do that, if my life is spent doing this, great, I did it, and if I fail miserably, that's okay too, because at least I tried. All right, that's the attitude that I have. So I hope you found that interesting. We'll be going back to some of our content of random stuff here and there. Do let me know if you have any content that you'd like for me to create. I'd be happy to create it for you. And then hope you enjoyed it. Great time. Thank you very much for spending all this time with me. I'll see you next time. Bye. Well, I guess there's no going back now. The cat's out of the bag. I did the Freud's The Future of Illusion. The game is set. For the last time, wearing a black suit with a bow tie because I felt like being formal, although I am kind of in my own home, so being formal in my own home is kind of weird. But I guess I can't go back now. I'm gonna go straight through. Thanks for being with me. Thank you very much. Thanks for going through all this way through. It's really great, and there's more great things to come. More great things to come. Expect it, right? I'll see you next time.